Hello, BookTube. Well, as I feared, I am a little bit buried in work, but I wanted to check in. I made a video on a particular subject that was on my mind, but I also wanted to check in for just a general ramble of a video. I have one package. I thought we could open that. Doesn't have to be a long check-in. I'm amazed that I got any package at all, since it's been terrible, terrible weather here all day. It rained for about an hour, which is really catastrophic. I'm sure that the mail carriers have just quit for the day. I'm amazed that I got even one package. Of course, the weather forecast yesterday, 100% unanimous. All the data and all the forecasters in any kind of venue on YouTube, on the cable networks, on the news networks, all in unison. 100% certainty of a 5 or 6 or 7 hour storm here in Boston that would dump 7 to 10 inches of snow. We had a warm spring rain for an hour, which just goes to underscore the fact that we live in an era of clickbait. Simple as that. We live in an era of clickbait, and no one can be trusted to be immune to that. Unfortunately, I should have concentrated on the models themselves. The raw data itself was looking to me. Every time I looked at it, I thought, well, okay, I see the system that everybody's talking about, but I also see the temperature. There's no way that there's temperature here for snow. I kept seeing that, and every time I went to anybody, including the people who have degrees to interpret this stuff, they were all saying 6 inches at least. We're going to get our first snowstorm since 2022 in Boston. And I'm saying, what are you seeing that I'm not? It's not going to be cold enough for that to happen. And the system isn't big enough to last as long as you're saying that it is. It's big enough, it's fast moving and small. It's going to be gone in an hour or two anyway, even if it is snow. But I should have paid attention to that because it was nothing. It's been a dark day, a cloudy day, and because it rained for an hour, a nice, gentle South Carolina rain, the ground is wet, so the little bean has not wanted to go anywhere. She's wanted to just hole up here and be comfortable, which is fine by me, because I've got all this stuff that I need to do by the end of this week. Including today, I have only scratched the surface of what I need to do today. But I wanted to stop and talk to my imaginary booktube friends. So I've got a bookish thing that I want to discuss just briefly, and then we'll open the package and we'll see. We've done one book mail hauls before here. The bookish thing that I want to talk about is one of the things that I read last night, which is this: The Burglar Who Traded Ted Williams by Lawrence Block. I was aware of this series. I read a few of this series, but we're right on the doorstep of March Mystery Madness, and I was aware that I had never really enjoyed either these books or Block's Matthew Scudder books. I hadn't enjoyed either one of them. And I wasn't quite sure why. It didn't feel like a legitimate lack of enjoyment, if that makes any sense. It didn't feel, in other words, like it was based on something real, something critical and real. It felt like it was just, food poisoning. It felt like I got them at the wrong time, and it was not fair, and I just didn't like them for that reason. So I read this again, and I rather liked it. Very light stuff. It's overlong. There's no way that the plot involved here should have been this long. But boy, oh boy, Lawrence Block can really take you through a scene. He can get you through a scene with just airlessly. Like Ed McBain, like especially Elmore Leonard. Elmore Leonard was the name I was thinking of all throughout when I was reading this. It feels very easy to do, but never dumb. And that was all that I needed. I got this book specifically to see if it would change my mind about giving this whole series a second chance, and it did. So I will be looking for March Mystery Madness. I will be reading the 9th entry in every murder mystery series that has 9 entries. Every murder mystery series I can get my hands on. I'm going to read the 9th entry in a whole bunch of them, at least 30 videos. I'm hoping. But considering how much I love reading murder mysteries, considering that it's a whole YouTube event devoted to reading murder mysteries, I'll probably do a lot of reading in those series that isn't just the 9th book. And this is a definite candidate. This was really enjoyable in a night that was full of enjoyable reading. So it had competition. So I want to update you on that. I didn't want to forget about that. I'm now going to get the rest of these and I've read, I think, 4 of them, 3 of them maybe. I'm going to give those a reread, and I'm going to read the ones that I haven't read, definitely. And if it's true for this series, it might be true for a handful of other murder mystery series that have never really done it for me. That might be true. Nevada Bar comes to mind. And also the Kemmelman books about the rabbi who, that whole series obviously should have appealed to me, and it never did. Maybe it's time to try that again. And I'll go back to old favorites as well. But I'm looking to make new old favorites, is I guess what I'm saying. So let's open this package and see. This is the only one that made it through the storm. The storm today was maybe an hour and 10 minutes of warm spring rain. For the very simple reason, the simplest reason doesn't have anything to do with the data or any of the clickbait people who were interpreting that data. It just has to do with raw reality. It is not going to snow in Boston again. The climate in Boston has changed. The climate has changed. This is now largely a tropical area. The worst part of that, we were spared last summer, but the flip side of it never snowing anymore in Boston is that summers are going to be unendurable. So we didn't get the summer in Boston that virtually all the rest of the country got last year, where you were going a week, then 2 weeks, then a month and a half with daytime highs in the 100 teens, 110, 111, 112, 115, day after day after day after day, week after week, over a month, where the lowest temperature outside was in the mid-90s, and that was at 3 in the morning. Forever. Just lasting forever. Changing fundamentally the way everyone works and does business. Most of the rest of the country experienced that kind of summer. What I consider to be the first climate change summer. Last summer, Boston was miraculously exempt. I don't think the temperature ever got to triple digits in Boston last summer. And even when it was warm, it was never warm for long. We were spared. I don't think we will be spared this time. Last time, most of the country was under what's called a heat dome. I'm pretty sure that there's a heat dome with Boston's number on it for this summer. But the flip side of that is that we won't have winter anymore. I shouldn't say anymore. There might be winter in this part of the world in the next Milankovitch cycle, but that's hundreds of thousands of years from now, when the place where I'm sitting right now will be under 100 feet of water. So it won't matter. It won't matter to anybody. It won't be humans that endure that anyway, or predict it. If there's clickbait, then it will be fungi clickbait. It won't be human clickbait because humans won't be around. But that's a long, long time from now. The actual axial tilt of the planet is going to have to change in order to bring winter back to Boston. So I don't know what I was thinking. Looking at those forecasts and saying, wow, I don't remember where shovels are for snow. I don't remember where I don't think we have any rock salt or anything like that. I don't think we have any precautions left for winter because we don't have winter in Boston anymore. And I was actually thinking, I feel foolish. I was looking at all of those weather forecasts and thinking, well, they're all sure that it's going to happen, that there's going to be half a foot of snow. So where are all those things? I guess I should take precautions. Only one last jelly donut. The street, I know you won't believe me, but the street has been completely empty and quiet all day long until I make a video. And then that is the one siren I've heard today. So, anyway, let's look at, okay, all right, great. This is an early March release. This is Change by Edouard Louis. Translated from the French by Jonathan Lambert. I'm sure he would say it Lambert. Let's see here. It's, of course, an autobiographical novel. It's not a novel at all. There's no fiction in here. Every detail that's in here is verifiable. If every detail that's in your book is verifiable, you have not written fiction because you have not made anything up. But it's all that this author can do. And this author has a good career, so it's all this author can do. If you took this author, put him in a room with a piece of paper and said, write a bank robbery, he would look at you and say, well, I've never experienced a bank robbery. And you would look at him and say, I'm sorry, aren't you a well-regarded novelist, someone who's up for awards every season, every time you bring out a book? Yes. Okay. So write a bank robbery. No, I can't do it. I've never experienced a bank robbery. Okay. He literally has no imagination at all. He can only write about things that have happened to him. Welcome to the world, 21st century so-called gay fiction. But anyway, let's see here. He's been hailed as one of the most important voices of his generation. Yes, by Garth Greenwell, who also can't write fiction. He can only write what he's experienced. He can't make anything up. Edouard Louis longs for a life beyond the poverty, discrimination, and violence in his working-class hometown. Keep in mind, if you didn't know anything about this stupid trend, you would hear that line in a pub sheet or on the back cover of a book, and you think, well, what do I care? What's the book about? But that is what the book's about. It's about his life. So he sets out for school in Amiens and later the University of Paris. He sheds the provincial Eddie for the elegant new name, determined to eradicate every aspect of his past. He reads incessantly. No, he doesn't. No, he absolutely does not. He dines with aristocrats. He spends nights with millionaires and drug dealers alike. Everything he does is motivated by a single obsession, to become someone else. No, everything he does is motivated by another single obsession, a different single obsession, which is to get likes and hits on social media. And that's where all of these adventures have been chronicled for the last 10 years. There is no fiction in this at all. The names haven't even been changed. This book is narrated with a clear-eyed intensity, reflecting how Edouard apprehends the world and fashions new versions of himself as he enters wider circles of society. Photographs throughout the text, documenting the violence and poverty and the stages of Edward's transformation, confront the reader with the reality behind the novel. It's not a novel. It's not a novel. If every character in it is real, if every exchange is verbatim from when it was copied down onto social media when it happened, and if there are photographs of it all, then it's not a novel. I know we live in the 21st century where if you say something, that makes it true, but it isn't. That isn't the case. You don't get to call something. There are no alternate facts. You don't get to say that was just an ordinary tourist visit. Tourists don't smear their excrement on the walls. You don't get to change reality by using different words for it. You just don't get to do it. So you cannot say, this is my life story. I have not changed a single detail, and I'm including photographs to prove it, and then call it a work of fiction. Anyway, this book is a profound and harrowing book, not only a personal odyssey, a story of dreams and of, quote, the beautiful violence of being torn away, but a riveting portrait of a society divided by class, power, and inequality. Okay, well, I always get, for the last 10 years, I've got a measure of crap from my critical brethren when I take things like this and refer to them as nonfiction. Whether it's Inside Story by Martin Amis or anything else. When I read a documented case of autobiography, I call it that. I couldn't care less what the marketing department of the publisher wants to call it. And I sometimes get a ration of crap from my critical brethren about that. It says novel right on the cover. Call yourself a critic. Maybe that will change here when the publicity material is telling you that this is Edouard Louis' life story and there are photos to prove it. Photos to document the reality behind the novel. Maybe that will do it. Maybe other critics will say, well, I don't know why this is being called a novel. It isn't a novel. We can examine it. We can certainly review it. But if you called this, fettuccine Alfredo, that wouldn't make it fettuccine Alfredo. But maybe that will be the case. Or maybe when it comes time to review this in March, I will be alone. The lone voice saying, not only is this crappy, but it's not fiction. We shall see. But that is our only book for today. An early March release. We are just in the middle of February, so I do not need to start thinking about rearranging the shelves over there. I just cleaned them up the other day, so I'll just chuck this in the undifferentiated March pile and get to it when I get to it. But anyway, those are the two books that I want to talk about today. Change by Edouard Louis, which is a harrowing tale of being torn away. He was not torn away from everything. He is welcomed back home. There's no drama in his life, none whatsoever. But people didn't nominate him as Pope when he was 13. And how are you going to live with that kind of injustice? And also Lawrence Block. I want to hear from all you Lawrence Block fans, but also from you Lawrence Block critics. When I mentioned Lawrence Block in that weird, raggedy little book haul that I did when he appeared, a number of you wrote to me and said, he's not good. He's just not good. Or if he was good, he gets worse as he goes along. That was a point that was in, I think, 4 or 5 emails that I got, was specifically this burglar series gets worse as it goes along. Is that Is that your opinion as well? Is that a consensus? I'd love to hear about it, because if I do read the 9th book in the series here, well, this is not the 9th. The 9th is, I think, 2 or 3 books after this. I thought this was good. Am I just a sucker here, or did I need a relief? One of the things I read last night, I certainly did need a relief, but I'd like to think that I have a little bit more critical awareness than to just lap up something just because it isn't physics. Physics was trying hard to push my brain right out of my head through my nostrils. I'd love to hear it. If you're a Matthew Bullock fan or whatnot, I'd love to hear it. One of the things I need to do, I know I say this all the time, I will get better at. I'm doing a considerably better job in 2024 than I've ever done before. Got to give me credit for that. One of the things I need to do is write this up on Goodreads. I'm obviously not going to write a review of this book, but I did read it and I do have thoughts about it. And Goodreads is a perfect place for that. It's a frustrating place because I realized just today that I did not have the Goodreads app on my iPad. So I went to the App Store on the iPad and I downloaded the Goodreads app, and it all looked perfectly fine and perfectly easy. And then I tapped on the Goodreads app to open it, and it said, we need to reset your password. We'll send you a temporary password to your email. The email linked with your account. Open that up, use that password to get into your account, and then change the password. Never got that email. So there was a little highlighted link there that said resend temporary password. I hit that. Didn't get that one either. I turned the iPad off and turned it on again. The standard text solution didn't help. Went through the whole process all over again. Deleted the app and reapplied it, reinstalled it, and it did the same thing. So I don't know what's going on there. I really don't know what's going on there. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to have Goodreads on my iPad, which cannot be true. There must be a thing that I'm not doing. But this is a perfect example of how I could expand my use of Goodreads, both all the little stuff, the indie books, the rereads, those can all go on Goodreads, and older reviews. There 5, 6, 7,000 older reviews of mine that are just languishing. When I can clean them up. They can be on stevedonoghue.com, my home website, but I can also be linking to them on Goodreads. I could do both of those things more than I do. I'm going to try to do both of those things today, but I've got actual stuff to do today and the next 3 days. So I will get to that now. Sorry that I can't bombard you with videos, but the day will come. The weekend I should be in the clear either way. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I'll see you then. Thank you, BookTube.